This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in MetaQuest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The MetaQuest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered. Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR.
Hey.
Today we're joined with another developer, which always happen to be some of my favorite interviews.
Oh my God, yeah.
We get some of the best insight and we always hear such passion.
I get educated every single week.
Yeah, and if there's something consistent about people involved in VR, it's passion in the industry, and that tends to come out in these interviews. So today we're joined with Dan Sivan, the developer behind Shuttle Maze, a game available on the MetaQuest App Lab Store, which we've had quite a bit of fun with. We haven't pumped out a review yet, but
it's coming.
Stay tuned for that. So, Dan, do you mind to tell yourself a little bit more about yourself and also your game in case our listeners haven't checked it out yet?
Sure. So, hi guys. Thanks for having me on your great podcast. My name is Dan Sivan, the manager of Ayayu Games in Israel, a VR gaming studio. And we're the developers of Shuttle Maze, which is like you said, available on the MetaQuest App Lab. And soon also we're now working on porting it to the new Pico platform. Give me some directions because I can go all over, right? So like the history, or should I start from the end, from the middle?
We can start from the beginning. How did this game come to be?
Because this isn't, for people who haven't played it or going to be playing it, it's a unique
experience all around.
It definitely brought something unique to the table that I don't personally think has been done yet in my playing with on the Quest 2. So that in itself, it's like I would definitely like to hear
started from the beginning
of this one and then how it ended up here.
Well, I was introduced to virtual reality about, I think, 5 years ago. I tried my first experience with HTC Vive headset. It was an amazing experience, changed my life. Immediately, right away, I went buying me one of those, put all my cash in those days, got me one, and started playing it with it. And I started with, I don't know if you know how it's called, the Lab. You know this game, the Lab?
No, but
the first games by Valve.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't experienced it, but it's one of those I always see it. And for people who have access to PC VR, it's always in like the top list of recommendations.
Totally. It's like the main, I think, project of Valve. I don't know if it's true what I'm saying, but it feels like the main, like it was the first main experience that Valve experienced and did experiments for virtual reality. So they had it's like mini games inside, all kind of mini games. One of them is like is a mini game where you hold a small spaceship in your hand, and you're inside this like big sphere kind of world thing, and there's like a big evil boss, and like it shoots arrows at you, and you hold your controller is actually the spaceship, and you need to move it around really fast and avoid all the bullets and all the stuff, and all that's like all the mechanics inside. But what caught me in that game was the scale, right, of the world, like the god view and the 3D space. It's like I'm actually flying a spaceship in all directions in space. It's not something that I'm used of doing. It's like something that I always dreamed of doing. It reminded me of playing like a little kid with action figures, and spaceships and stuff like that. And that actually what drove me and the long journey until Shuttle Maze came to life. So Shuttle Maze basically is the evolution of the first games that we've made. But anyway, it's a game where it requires high skills on one hand and very intuitive on the other hand, and it introduces a new kind of game of a new style of play, right? It's like it's a new type of, for me it's a new genre of playing games that could my dream is to make it evolve to a genre. Right now it's only Shuttle Maze, but we will be working hopefully on other themes and more features, like gaming, art, and themes and stuff like that. So myself, what I care about mostly is the mechanics, is the game mechanics, is the balance, and the challenges. It's like a puzzle. It's a real-time puzzle action, third-person perspective, God mode, 360, 6 degrees of freedom game. I think maybe it's the evolution of platformer games also in my head. Like I come from Celeste games like Celeste and Super Meat Boy and Sonic and old games, classic challenging games like that. And that's the genres that I love, and that's what I try to bring to virtual reality. It's like the challenge of new controls, high skill, fun, comfortable. It's not like it's not about you. It's about the spaceship. So the enemies, they don't attack you. You're actually controlling the spaceships in there, and they don't shoot you. That's something that we decided a long time ago as a concept. And also, all the game is accompanied with story and a comic book like appearing stories with with a script with the script written by Alex Orel and performed by professional actors from Los Angeles, led by Jason. Wow, I hope I get his name right. It's Jason Pierce. But Pace, sorry, Jason Pace. It was also a very interesting experience also to record it and to go over it and then program it into the game. And then there's a lot of challenges of creating it and trying to, um, uh, giving the player the best the best experience of the story under the budget and under the technical requirements and under the new surroundings of virtuality.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say there's so much with this game. Like even the animation that you brought up, that was something that's
no, the voice work stood out a 1,000,000% to me, and definitely the animation.
You almost get a mini TV show that goes, that plays
along
throughout
with the game, yeah.
along with the game, and it's very, very high quality and highly done. And something that you mentioned that I love in VR is top down. I think that there's a lot of people, not a lot of people, there's a vocal crowd that I've heard say, oh, if it's top down, if it's not first person, it's not real VR. But I say, screw that, top down in VR. It's so much fun. And
well, it works.
Yeah. And you look at hit games like Moss, clearly it works. So, I mean, what was that a challenge to incorporate
I'm
into
thinking
your game?
Those mechanics, the moving mechanics of this game are so original.
Mhm.
So like, again, like anything I've tried, I'm wondering if that is the toughest challenge of making this game.
It was an evolution, right? It didn't start with that mechanics. It started with a similar kind, but then we added the thumbstick. Basically, I know it's it's a podcast, so it's audio for most viewers, I guess. For most listeners, so it's hard to explain over audio how the controls work. But on a nutshell, you hold your controller in your hand. You have one controller to control your spaceship, and then other controller to control yourself, like the camera in space. You can with the controller that controls your camera, you can move freely around, all around the world. So it's like free. you can also scale up and scale down the world and get inside the maze and get outside the maze and rotate the maze and everything. And on the control with the controller that you control your spaceship. So it's basically a combination of the direction you're holding your controller and the direction you're pointing your thumbstick together. So, and then if, I don't know, it's an audio, I guess people will hear it like, well, what does that mean?
But it works. Most importantly, it works. It took me a very small time to get familiar because I wasn't sure, like, like, how the hell am I going to negate through this whole maze? And then once I figured it out, I was able to move at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, it's one of those you'll catch yourself just almost entering a flow state with.
Correct.
Because it feels
But what
natural.
threw me with this is I got cocky after the first couple of two. I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't really, okay, I get it. I'm good at mazes. I can handle this. And then I instantly hit a point where you now had to have more of a strategy and a thinking process to get to the end of it. So I'm like, all right, you took away my ability to just kind of speed run through what I thought was going to be an easy. So the progression of difficulty is definitely good.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll keep going into a lot more of how we got to this point, but for our listeners who haven't played the game too, what's kind of like a brief synopsis of the story of Shuttle Maze? Because that's something that stuck out to me a lot in the current time of playing it is, you know, again, the animation that appears into it, and there's a story that guides you along, that just another thing to keep you wanting to keep going back and play more.
Well, the year is 2050? No, 2060. And the place is outer space. And Glow is a renegade space pilot. She's about 21 now. She comes from a family of space pilots. Her grandfather was a space pilot, and her father was a space pilot. And she, until recent times, she made her living by shuttling space voyages and as a automatic construction space pilot, which basically is special spaceships which build space stations. So that's what she did, and then some doctor, his name is Dr. Harris, invented those crazy AI machines. That was before the AI, before the ChatGPT and everything, exploded. It was
yes, ahead of your time.
Story was written before. Anyway, the AI, he invented those AI machines that basically took her job, and now she needed to go underground and do illegal space voyages for space characters. And one day she gets this message from space authority saying that they're onto her and they know about her and that they're gonna take her license and they're gonna take her spaceship. And she says, no, please don't take my spaceship. This is my life. I don't know what I'll do. So the guy on the space authority, they start talking, and then he says, there's this mission that if you can do it, then I'll bring it up to the boss, and maybe they'll let you go. But you need to go to this specific location in space. It's like a space station, whatever. So she goes there, and then it's like it doesn't show anywhere in the map. She gets to the space station, and game starts. What happens in the game?
Yeah, that's when we enter spoiler.
Spoiler zone. Mm-hmm. That was a great description of the story, as well as the description of the game, because it is more than just. I described it when you and I talk. I use the word it's more like a puzzle game to me, and then you were like, well, no, it's more like this to me, and I'm like, so it is more than single dimension as far as what genre could really fall in.
Yeah, you mentioned hoping that it inspires its own genre, such as a example that would be like roguelike games. That all spawned from a game Rogue, and now we have, especially in VR, so many roguelites. So do you mind to tell our listeners a little bit more about the gameplay in terms of, how you clear a level and, kind of to what makes the game unique in terms of it could be its own genre down the line?
So this okay, that takes me to two parts of answering the question, because the genre part is, I think, the basic mechanic loop of controlling the spaceship in 3D space. So basically you can move your spaceship around freely, backwards, forward, right, left, up and down, with one controller only. And then also you have weapons, and it shoots lasers. You collect weapons as you go along. You collect bombs, and you collect different kind of weapons. You have laser weapon, and then you have a guided weapon, and we'll add more weapons coming our way. And also you get different spaceships. But anyway, the game itself is about solving 3D mazes, um, which each step along the, it's like how do I explain it? It's like small mazes which come together to a big maze. So basically, a level should take, depends on the level, but it takes about 20 minutes in average for a player to finish a level. Um, we have right now six campaign levels, and then we have another 10 racing levels, and we're working now, we're gonna release soon a big update with more content, showing more enemies and a lot of more content, like mazes and challenges, both on the puzzle side and both on the action side. So the puzzle side is like, how do I get out of this maze? What should I do to get out? And the action side is more of like there's enemies around, and you need to understand, and as long as much as you play, the more you play, the better you get. So you can you start with one, and so that it becomes very challenging in the end. And the next update that we got the feedback that we get from users, it goes from like it's too easy until I cannot, it's invincible, like I cannot so for the guys, for the players that think that it's too easy, there's gonna be a big update soon with a lot, like I'm challenging you to, yeah, let's see you complete the game.
That's awesome. So going back to 5 years ago, you tried the lab, your mind's blown. And then what happens next? Was Shuttle Maze something that you already had in mind conceptually before VR? Now this was the perfect medium. How does it go from having your mind blown with that experience to, anybody watching on YouTube? While we're mainly a podcast, I'd say that's like 90% of our listenership is podcasts. Those watching on YouTube, they will see your nice Shuttle Maze banner in the background, and that thing's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's beast.
So how do we go from having your mind blown with the lab to now here?
So actually, I saw this virtual reality when I studied in a course in Israel in Shenkar College, game development. So in the middle of the year, I came to this HTC Vive headset, bought it right away, played all the games right away, just did that. And then my final project for the course was to create a game. So I created VR Man, which is it's this guy. 1 second. So this guy's VR Man, for those who can hear us but cannot see us, I'm holding an action figure in my hand. It's blue. And basically it's a guy wearing a blue suit, and it has all kinds of devices inside. It has not a microphone, a speaker, and a vibration thing, and buttons, and all kind of embedded technology inside, which actually creates this guy a controller for virtual reality. So our first project was create only the game. It was the guy, this guy wasn't there yet, but the concept was to play as a kid in virtuality. So you would hold the small, we have it, right? So you hold the small guy in your hand, and then you play with it around, and it's the same kind of third person perspective game. And then around this idea of the actually it's a good idea, and we got some money around it, and we did this project, and it worked. We developed it. We have a controller which comes to life. Basically, it's like a Toy Story where you hold this guy, you put on the VR headset, it comes to life, and then you play with it as it comes to life. We developed it. We started to market it to all kinds of virtual reality arcades, like LBVRs. We had some clients in San Francisco. We had some clients at Las Vegas, but then COVID came and all this market just disappeared on one day. So we needed to shift because creating these guys is still, but it was very expensive, and it was like an LBVR experience. That was the economic side of it. So after that, the shift that we decided to do is create Shuttle Maze, which is taking the core mechanics or the core engine that we developed for VRMan and shifted it to Shuttle Maze. And during the development of Shuttle Maze, we came up with we actually focused more on the gameplay inside virtuality and with high fidelity controls that we were looking for. So that's how we came to the thumbstick, controller, free movement, pipe. The maze is made from pipes inside the game. So that was also a decision that we were looking for ways to help players to understand how to move the spaceship in space, because in the beginning we just put the spaceship in open space, and it's when you get too much freedom, it's a game design concept. When you give the player too much freedom, so most of the time players won't know what to do with this freedom, and just don't understand it, and let go. So that we came with the pipe solution in the beginning, and then we understand, and then we tried throughout the game. We give more and more freedom. So half the game you fly through small sized pipes, which give you the ability to move your spaceship in one axis, and then you get to larger pipes, which are basically act like big rooms, like free space rooms that you can move all around. And in the next update, there will be also totally free space levels when for the more advanced, skilled players.
So this game started.
I appreciate the guidance, because I'm one that if I had that much space, I might not necessarily know where to go right off the bat. It's going to take me a little bit of a minute, but
at least sounds like it'll become a bit of a game mode, or in some way an option, or like I said, a game mode for players that are already used to the game. But I definitely think for the first time you load in and start playing, I think
the guidance is good.
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. So
Yeah,
it sounds like that this is something that started in production when COVID hit and the pandemic started, so about 3 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. It's been 3 years, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies by. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Especially the last 3 years, I'll say. Of course, that's my
Crazy.
perspective. I think every year you get older, they say it goes faster.
Yeah,
It was for me.
it's true.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It's
But
true.
definitely, it seems like the last 3 have since the pandemic hit.
Simple math.
Yeah. So when I could pull this up real quick. I just don't want to go looking at my phone and get distracted or anything like that. When did this game officially release on
It's on App Lab about a year now, more like time flies by, so I don't know. But the last time I checked, it was a year. I think maybe now it's like 14 months, something like that. We keep updating it all the time. It supports. I don't know if there are Spanish speakers, Japanese speakers, or Chinese speakers, then the game supports your language. We've added a lot of new features over the time, and we're really listening to the feedback of our players. So we change stuff all the time, making it better. Like right now, there's a discussion. I can tell you there's a lot of discussions, but one of them, like for example, is you can rotate yourself. The camera, you can rotate it with your with the A/B button on your player's controller. So we need to decide now if it's gonna be like a snap kind of turn or like a fluid,
smooth turn.
So that's something that we got feedback from one of our players. So we're now changing it or giving the option for, it's under the options menu we have, because you can see it also, all the options of the gameplay and the stuff we changed, you can see it in the options menu in the game itself, because you have a lot of stuff that you can try there, like the scaling of yourself in the world, right? If I am big, the world becomes small, and then it's like more of a God view kind of game, and that's how I prefer to play the game. But our other developers, they prefer to play it inside the maze. Like they're small, like they are small, so the maze is big for them relatively. Also now we're working hard on the mixed reality feature, which is pretty amazingly cool. Which means the pass through version.
Oh yeah, I think this is one of those games that has a lot of potential. With being able to do a little maze puzzle in your room.
It's a new kind of tabletop game, because it's a real time action puzzle kind of tabletop game. So right now it's a single player game. We would love, I dream of the day that we'll get it to multiplayer. It's not kind of it's not a technical problem. It's more of a crowd. We need more players to know it. We need more downloads. We need to make it to the official Meta store. And then the game is ready for multiplayer, and everybody who plays it, I think, understands how intuitive it is for multiplayer gaming. Like you can do sport stuff with it, like rockets, like spaceships, football, kind of capture the flag, and all those kind of games. Also, of course, co-op with we have a lot of plans for this game. Actually, we also started to develop this build mode that the players can build content for the game, because it's like it's like grid based. Like the pipes are basically like they are placed as in a kind. We have like this grid system, like this Lego system, that you can build levels with our how do you call it, the building feature in our engine. So we wanted to we started to do it, but then stuff, we went to another feature, and then we went to another feature, and then so the development process here is pretty chaotic, because we're trying to get it all around. And right now we're a very, very small team. It's myself, I'm the lead developer of the game. We have another like game designer, half developer guy here. Now he's not here because it's 9:30 p.m. Local time.
So a 3-person studio.
yeah, it's, you know, in our best days we got to be 6 for a couple of months, but then we're trying to survive, and it's very hard, you know. So we need the downloads, we need the support, um, we need the air to keep going, and every download really means the world to us. Every feedback and every we listen carefully to any feedback, really. Um,
I could
Yeah.
definitely see this one making a push for the store, especially with the continued content. It's like
the
I'm seeing
ambitions.
and everything's being lined up. So it I can't see why it.
You could see the faces we were giving each other when you're going over.
Yeah, because it's like they're checking all the boxes of the requirements to get on that store.
Yeah,
So
multiplayer, which is endless potential.
mhm.
Map builders, which again, endless potential.
That's a game changer in itself because you turn people loose on
Yeah.
something, they create stuff that's just off the wall.
Especially if you combine those two, multiplayer and map builders.
yeah,
it's game over, you know.
Yeah.
So I hopefully our
but
listeners,
you know, it's the chicken and egg story, because we need the users first, we need the players, you know, we need people to know about it, you know, and talk about it, and like you guys are doing. So that's like that's the fuel that we need right now to keep this spaceship going. So
yeah, and we'll definitely do a review of it too, you know. And
yeah, we'll give it a proper review.
Yeah, hopefully our listeners, you know, they give it a proper checkout, because again, it's a very unique concept, and I think you have the right idea as well. Just to kind of go back on something you said about like kind of locomotion options, or some people, you know, whether to go with smooth turn or snap turn, but
give the option.
Yeah, I think you're correct with, you know, giving the option there. I think
because I'm a smooth guy,
but then you'll hear other people go snap.
I'm a snap turn. Yeah.
Some people like the vigilant, you know, like the black outer rim. I hate that. I shut it off, but some people like it, you know. So you have the right idea.
We have these options in the game. We have the vignette option, and you can, you know, like I said, it's there, and we want to know more. You know, if there are more, and about that, when I started playing virtual reality, I was so sensitive to motion sickness. So the game was started. The concept and the game was developed as me as a very sensitive person to it, like very comfortable. So in the beginning, you could only do like jump teleport, you know, like snap without any motion and only snapping. That was in the beginning. But then as the years go by, and as I play virtual reality every day, basically, in the past, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, so I became less sensitive, and we got the feedback from, you know, less sensitive players who like to play crazy games that I cannot play until today still. So anyway, we added the more smooth motion. You can move smoothly around the map. You can, it's totally kind of demo controls over yourself. You can get everything bigger, smaller, and turn it around, move all the world around. And actually, you know, for the mixed reality feature, for the pass through, where you will be, or you can do it here. It's not released yet, but once you will be able to do it, you can take the maze and look and put it wherever you want in your living room or in your office or in your room, right? So you can just take the maze, make it as big or as small as you want, just put it in the right place, and then, you know, you get this small board. It's not very small, because you can make it as big as you want, right? But it's really cool. So I hope I'm very optimistic about it. Like, I think it's very special.
For a 3-person development team, though, it's a very aggressive schedule of pumping out content, like extremely aggressive. So there's no days off for anybody in this studio. So what I really want to know, and I'm going to go back a little to VR Man, do you see that as a dead project, or could you possibly see down the road VR Man making an appearance?
No, totally. It's you know, it was I think a premature concept for the world 5 years ago. I think it's still premature today, because the hardware is not there yet to support it as easily as you would like it to be, as you imagine it, right? Because basically the concept is you have a toy, you go to a store, you buy the toy, and then it comes to life in your virtual reality. That's like, that's the future of toys. So in order to do that, you would need we still need the technology to go a bit more developed and to get more users. So once, it's also the chicken and egg problem as always.
So it's not necessarily a dead project. It's just technically
it's frozen.
held back.
It's shelved.
It's frozen.
Shelved. It's on.
But you talk about ahead of the time for an area in space that
it
doesn't even exist. Yeah, dude, the potential is huge for products like that.
Our face was
especially as
up.
A little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kids have that badass imagination anyways, but now you're just giving them even more of a. I'm an adult, and it's like I'm thinking it.
Your face was lighting up. You're like, come on, let's go.
This is freaking great.
Mm-hmm.
The potential for it, but it's just funny that it's actually conceptually it's phenomenal, but it's that far ahead of its time for a consumer, the current technology to get.
That's the main problem with it.
That's a good problem to have, though.
We have we have it written down. We have a company. We did it all. We almost, like I said, we started to sell it already, and we almost got more funding for it, but then COVID came, and then everything changed for us. It was like, I remember the first day that they canceled the flights from Israel to the US, or that they canceled the inner flights in the US. It was like that day, like everything, I understood the majority of the time, and we sat down and we said, okay, we had a trip to LA to meet investors and stuff like that, and they canceled the flight, so we just said, okay, it's not
time to figure
anyway.
Out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But everything goes to his right place. So that got us Shuttle Maze, which is
it led to Shuttle Maze as well.
I think it's a great concept. It's a great concept. It's a great game. And, I really tried my best to create this new innovation. Can you say innovational game? No.
It's a new innovation of a game. No, but I get what you're trying to say. It's
definitely its own thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, in the VR world, I hadn't done anything like it or experienced it like that. So I would say it's innovation.
Yeah, it's a very innovative game. There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Innovative.
Look at you. We're as stumped as you, and this is our first and only language, so don't feel bad.
I guess I was also when we started to create Shuttle Maze, I tried to, like, I got a bit bored with all the games that I played. I played like for many months all the games where I just didn't stop playing. I was fascinated, but then I thought, okay, I want to try new stuff, right? Like new things of doing inside virtual reality. How can you do it different? What can I do differently? And also, what can I do differently? And how to try to do something which will be challenging, but that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to say something, and I lost the.
It happens
in
podcasting sometimes. If it comes back, feel free to shoot it in at any point too. But something I got to know too is this. We play on the MetaQuest. That's our headset choice, but we do have some listeners that are.
Well, and we know it's coming to Pico.
Pico, yeah. Is it available on PC VR as well, or other platforms, or right now just the MetaQuest App Lab store?
Right now, as we speak, is only on the MetaQuest App Lab. The Pico is coming very soon. Let's say a month or a couple of months, something like that.
No official date yet. We'll say that.
Not official, yeah. And also after that, we'll do the PC version, which should be. We started also the process, but we need to finish the Pico first, and then we'll do the PC. So that's the platform timeline for us.
Yeah, the roadmap, so to say. That makes sense. Yeah. Check them off one at a time. That makes a lot of sense.
I think they can push to the store.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, in a big, and we're just speculating. But our track record is pretty damn good, to be honest with you. Well, it's like 98%.
It sounds like the only thing holding back an incredible, hurricane of updates is just more players trying it out.
Exposure, just if need you ask exposure.
Me, yes, that's an easy solution because the game's good. And again, the story of it, the animation, dude, in it, I'm not the voice acting.
The voice acting is in. I'm not talking App Lab. I'll talk in all.
It's very, very good.
It's tight.
It's top of the line. Tell, even
when you said you used professionals in Los Angeles, it makes sense. Now I can get it because it's one thing that be a good voice actor, but how it's mixed and how it's sounded into the game, and not everyone kills it, but this one did a great job with it.
So how many actors, actresses,
and I have not finished it, so it's not like I know everything that's gonna potentially come up
just from every single character.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, but how many actors, actresses, voice actors, and all that was in on this?
There are three actors. 3 actors, and ourselves doing all kinds of sound effects in house.
And how long did that whole process take to get that all recorded and animated and drawn?
I think like 4 months, something like that, since we started. Since I called Alex, he's the art director and the storyteller of the game, the script guy. So it was about 4 months, and it was a very interesting process. That for me, it was like the way that he understood immediately the concept behind the comic book kind of storytelling. There were it's the inspiration for it comes from Celeste. You know this game, Celeste? Did you play it in the PC game? It's like an old classic. It's not too old, but
I know I played it, but I can't remember playing it.
So it's an amazing game. It's like a pixel art game. And there the story is told with like a comic book kind of squares that like a very low frequency of frame rate of animations. So basically it's like a very low paced animations, and we built this technical solution for it where we would need, for each character, it has about 5 emotions, like happy, sad, angry, can't remember the rest, like excited. And for each emotion we did, I think, 3 frames, like 1 frame with eyes open, mouth closed, 1 frame with mouth open, eyes open, and 1 frame with, so like 3 or 4. And then we did this engine that you take the audio, and then you need to put, you mark each word in the audio to change to the right emotion, and then that's how we build it. So it was a very interesting concept. And then also the main, I think one of the main challenges there, like I said, is making it appear to the player that players will be able to see it, because when we tested it at first, we just put it ahead of players, but then in virtual reality, not like a flat screen games and entertainment, where the director has the ability to the director controls where I will look into the screen's art. You can focus as the viewer. You can direct me to look about on the main character, on the on the tree or whatever that the director chooses. In virtual reality, you don't have this advantage, so you players look all around all the time, wherever you would never think that they will look. They will always look there. So also players will also always do what you never thought they would do. So it was a challenge to understand how to place those comic book storytelling parts in space. So as you go in the game, there are pauses for the story. It's like it's not a story and then you play and then there's a story. It's as you go, there's a small breaks of story of about 5, 10, 15 seconds each break. So eventually we understood that in order to do that we would need to place those comic book squares in the direction of the space. Like if I'm the camera and I'm looking, I don't know if it's interesting. I can stop. I can talk about it.
No,
for hours.
I think
so
it's
let, guys, let me know if I'm like.
No, not interesting at all.
So wherever the camera is looking, the camera. I mean, the player always. You would always go back to the spaceship because that's like your player. So we would place it. The camera is looking on the spaceship, so the comic book will be above the spaceship, but a bit to the sides. That's how we figured that one out, because it's not, in the beginning we just thought, okay, let's put it in front. Like wherever I look, I will open up the comic book in front of the player. But then we understood that most players, if I do it, there is one frame, like an instant amount of like a specific time that I would do it. But then the player will not even realize and will just look the other way. So the story is there, and something happened there, so we will look there, and then there's audio and like people mix around and they push all these buttons, so they move around and there's a big mess. So that's how we solved that one out. So that was
kind of the inspiration or part of the inspiration, you could say.
Well, that's also something I never even took into consideration. Like if you're going to have something come up and it's only going to be there for a couple of seconds, you got to make sure that the viewer is going to be focused. Because in VR, you're absolutely right. You don't know what someone might be choosing to look at any given time, let alone
instantly picturing myself just staring in the
I just
corner
assumed literally you just put the image up and that was it, but never considered that the user could be looking somewhere else. So you have to make it so they can see it.
Yeah,
struggle I didn't even know existed.
The unique gameplay, challenge or design challenges of VR. And for our listeners who haven't, bought in the game yet, maybe they're going to go and dive into it after this interview. Remind them, how much does it cost on the App Lab store?
It's $11.99.
So very reasonably priced, especially for a game that, sounds like there's ideas for much more content to come.
Oh yeah, I mean, full disclosure, if we were reviewing it, we would probably say it's worth more than $11.99.
Yes. But I get it for being on App Lab right now. Oh my goodness, it's easy to justify. Very easy to justify. 2 large cups of coffee.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can justify it.
Especially depending on what city you are in. And
actually, yeah, $11.99 in LA, that's like a quarter cup of coffee and doesn't include the tip. Yeah.
And then where can our listeners find you guys on social media? Do you have any Discord channels, anything like that? Again, the game is called Shuttle Maze. I don't think that will have any typo errors and stuff with that one.
Nope.
But yeah, where can they find you on social media and stuff like that?
Well, we have our Discord channel, and we are on basically all platforms. So we have a Facebook group, and we have a Twitter account, and we have a TikTok account, and so just look for Shuttle Maze wherever you like to spend your time and meet your friends and get energized. So that's where we're at. Just it's a I recommend it. It's my game, so of course I recommend it. But for players who are new to VR, I know players who played it as their first game and they really enjoyed it. But also it's made for people who are familiar with games and tried different games, and they did. So that's something new. So that's my ticket that I wanna that I think can make it, because that's what I wanted to say earlier. When I started to make the game, I was approaching in my mind and in my future self to approach gamers of virtual reality after the big first wow effect, because when you try virtual reality for the first time, second time, third time, you go wow, and just oh, look at this amazing art, and I'm in this amazing world and everything moves around and it works. It's like wow, it actually works and it's amazing. But then after that, after the wow effect, I came to a kind of feel that okay, did it did it done that kind of feel. So for if there's something listening and can relate to that, I really would want want him or her to try the game, try the game out and see how that you can do refreshing stuff also inside virtuality.
Yeah, a unique and creative experience that helps with retention. It's
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You're not saying it's not the game that you made to convince somebody to buy a headset. It's the game that's going to get you to keep playing in your headset.
Yeah, perfect.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, and I think that there's a very big market for those types of games on even the official Quest store. So hopefully, this is a game that we can have you back on in the future to talk about it graduating.
For Quest store launch.
Yes, for the graduation, that would be cool to be able to.
Can totally see it.
And so Shuttle Maze on social media, that's nice and easy. Sometimes developers go a little crazy with their social media.
Go into the Discord, check that out.
Oh yeah, I'll be in there later this evening, and then again, hopefully we can have you back on again in the future. So Dan, it's late for you.
That.
Yeah, no, we definitely were very appreciative of you taking the time,
yes,
to join us and talk with us for almost an hour now. So it's been a blast. But right before we let you go, is there anything else you want to say to our listeners before we let you go?
Well, first, I want to thank you guys for making this amazing podcast and giving us developers a small stage or big stage to offer our skills. It's very important what you're doing. You're the frontier of this. I don't know how to call it, right? This world of virtuality, which sometimes as developer we have times that we are very optimistic about it, and times that we're very not too optimistic about it. It's a hard competitive neighborhood, and I would really appreciate everyone listening to try it out, see, and it's a very special concept. It's a very we are working all the time very hard to make it better, and what we did until now also we're very proud of. So see you on social networks. See you and waiting for your feedback. Let us know what you think about it.
For sure, and stay tuned for our full review of the game coming soon, and you'll be able to find us in the Shuttle Maze Discord very soon now after this one. So again, Dan, thank you for joining us. Before I let you go, anything you want to ask as well, or?
No, I'm just waiting for when they start selling the Shuttle Maze posters and stuff.
No, that's very, very cool artwork. And again,
and I love how, honestly, technologically ahead of, I'd put Dan in the classic, like the visionary area, because yes, you're working with what you can today, but what the future holds is going to be pretty huge. Yeah, I'm going back to VR, man. Again.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not going anywhere. Yep. I'm so excited for that.
When you're that far ahead of a technology curve, that's That's freaking amazing.
It's like when they tried to make Avatar in the 80s or 90s, and they're like, nope, shelved till 2010, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully we'll have you back on to, again, talk about graduation, to the official store, you know, maybe some more stuff about VR, man.
Or even after some of these updates.
Yeah.
There's some game
Multiplayer
changer stuff coming down the road.
Map editor, a lot to come potentially with Shuttle Maze in the future. So thank you again for joining us, Dan. And for our listeners, definitely go check out Shuttle Maze. And again, $11.99, you're definitely getting
can't go wrong.
$12 worth of content out of that, easy. So other than that, check you guys out soon and enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you.